One vibe. BLG lock it in.
Redeeming factor. Wei has one of the best Ahri players for himself in this mid lane that you can pair up that vibe with. So if Knight chooses to go towards his Ahri via one of the best combos that you can have in the game. Top Esports now, they need to start building sort of a more anti-dive composition. BLG are incredible at building around Vi. So if Vi presses R, you bet the entire of BLG comes in. Love the Xin Zhao right here. There was an Azir hover as well. That's pretty great into heavy engage comps.
And that's what we were looking at in the kind of champion pool graphic is both these guys have played the Taliyah Azir on both sides of things, but they lean onto them differently. Knight playing a lot more of that Taliyah gets that unique band away from him. We'll see if the Azir does end up wanting to come through here for the side of Top Esports as they do lock in the Jace of all things here to get that flexibility started with their comp.
Yeah, and I feel like without Rumble and Gwen, Jace is also pretty happy. Usually the response to it is something like the Ambessa. And Ambessa Vi combo is one of the biggest noob-proof comps you can play. It's like point-click stun, or knock-up rather, from Vi, and then Ambessa hits that ult straight on, and it's double knock-up. And guess what? Mercs don't do anything about double knock-ups, guys. So there you go.
There you go. It will be locked in. They are going full on dive. They better have some subsuits on here because they've got the Kai'Sa as well for Elk. And I love that they're setting themselves up for success in a very tried and true style of composition. If there's anything we learned about those losses to AL and JDG is that they just need to set an easier bar of execution for themselves because they're damn good players when you look at them. So we'll see now what that answer is going to be from Top Esports.
I saw the Xayah hover right there. I'm not very sure because I feel like JackeyLove has really good champions to shut down Kai'Sa in lane. And now that lane swaps are not necessarily a thing, you can very easily go with something like a Misfortune, a Corki, a Jhin, and actually shut down that Kai'Sa straight off. You do have R5 as well, which traditionally is used towards the supports to completely dominate that bot side of the map. And with Xin Zhao right here, I'm looking towards that bot lane. You can influence that early game on the map. So definitely I'm looking towards things like that Misfortune and the Corki for JackeyLove down bot.
Let's see what they want to lean into. Any kind of safety is going to help there if they can. I love that ban as the Renata comes away. That would have been a massive pick for Crisp. Also, Crisp is one of the very best Renatas in the league. It is going to be that combo of the Ahri with the Vi band away and see if they want to take more choices away from Knight, who does have a champion Ocean, but has some very good picks that pair up with the Vi.
I'm not gonna lie right here. Things like the Akali look pretty good. Akali is traditionally really good into Azir. She fits the theme of everyone presses R and you dive into the backline. You've got the whole rest of the composition of BLG literally presses R and goes in. And so does Akali. Knight does play Akali. Again, pretty good into Azir. So I don't mind the Ahri being banned away as long as Knight can actually follow up with the rest of the team and the theme.
I think the theme is really important to kind of keep going here because your entire composition is based around those dives, around proactivity as well. They are going to ban away the Kalista, so that Fate's Call, a really nice safety tool there, but also the dueling power in the 2v2, really nice into the Kai'Sa here. We'll see what that answer is going to be. I did like that point you mentioned about the Xayah, but it also just provides so much safety with that Featherstorm Blade Collar combo.
Sure, but then it doesn't become as dominant in lane. I guess the fear right here for JackeyLove is mostly how do I stay alive if I do get pinned down by Vi? And the answer is, of course, one of the best anti-dive champions down the bot lane, which is the Xayah. However, I am worried for that early game damage coming through right now from Top Esports because both Azir and Xayah really do shine later on in the game. And let's see, is BLG going to be bold enough and go for something like the Akali?
Silas would be dirty. Knight's Silas is kind of nasty. I am also a little hesitant because there's not a lot of good choices here for the Silas, but maybe he's just saying, I'm going to hands diff you. And the Nico comes in to back up that dive setup and give them big wombo combo.
See, I would have agreed with you on the hand stiff you if Creme hadn't been hand stiffing him the entire year this year. So maybe, hey, this is the reverse arc. There you go. If Chris blocks in the Rakan right here, which gives an element of engage and disengage for Top Esports, which they didn't necessarily have in their kit so far, this is a pretty good ult for Knight to be able to still dive that backline together with BLG.
Yeah, it can be. I'm really curious at this 2v2 now between the two sides. But when we're looking at this, I mean, there's a lot of skirmishing power in these mid-jungle duos. I think it's rightfully so that we want to put a big focus on these two going into it. So how do you get the things rolling for BLG? And specifically, how early do you need to get it rolling?
I mean, if you look on the bot lane, they've gone towards more of a push lane. Something that you traditionally do not see with Kai'Sa is that Neeko. You usually want hard to see and engage, which she will be able to provide after level 6. But you are playing towards a team that cannot out-push you with the Rakan and Xayah. So I am expecting that Vi to be pathing towards that bot lane, potentially set up with the Neeko and try to get the Kai'Sa ahead. Sort of free the top side of the map a little bit until you hit that level 6 power spike and you can combo that Vi together with Ambessa.
And now we're getting into it as well, the other side of things for the side of Top Esports. Not only is it an attempt at continued dominance over BLG this year at least, but trying to right the wrongs of the rivalry past between the two squads and getting to see if this Top Esports team really is the new big dogs here in LPL, and if BLG's little fumble last week is going to be something to hold on to. We made it our match of the week for a reason. The rivalry speaks for itself, but the players on the field speak for it as well. It is a BLG who is looking to re-attain dominance versus a Top Esports who has been dominant. A King Kanavi trying to regain his crown and show that against Way of all people for BLG. That next iteration is BLG versus Top Esports. Game number 1 kicks off now. Hey, I think you dropped your crown, bud. You might not want to go pick it up. He's going to burn his flash, and that's going to be tough. Kanavi already forced out. We take a look at that top lane, too. Bin in trouble. Bin might just go down. The rest of the team, this is chaos here early. Bin will be at a disadvantage. Kanavi will be without his flash, and that is the big loser of this entire situation.
Okay, so let's take stock of what we have right here. Kanavi had a stinker of a series in his previous series. Pathing not on point, and right here, BLG are taking full control of his jungle. We're talking wards in both entrances, both red side quadrant and blue quadrant. We're talking about dominance in terms of establishing a lot more vision by walking forward. Now, the one thing, if you look in the top lane, there's a very deep ward placed by Crisp, if I'm not wrong. And usually that happens when you're playing Jace versus any melee champion or any ranged champion versus any melee champion. You'll usually see the team of the melee champion walk up as 3 or 4 members, place a ward in the deepest brush so that the ranged champion cannot deep into Fog of War to take really heavily favorable trades towards the ranged champ. This time around, BLG chose to instead enter the jungle, so I want to see how they're going to leverage the fact that Kanavi doesn't have flash and that Bin is pretty much in an unfavorable matchup now that he doesn't have vision in this bush.
Yeah, he's also going to have the level disadvantage there, too. That feels real bad. Also, I was going to ask, what do you do as JackeyLove when you're facing 2 of your own skin? I don't even know. Like, it's 2 of them. Trouble? Like, that's unfair.
Isn't this the funniest thing? To play in the LPL and then everyone and anyone displays your skin against you?
Gala put him down on his own skin in their series.
Right? It just feels bad, man. It just feels bad.
There's been some tough ones. I think JackeyLove's going to wish he could play Kai'Sa again. But here we go. We're taking a look at the culmination of that second part of the paths for both junglers. Will still be that mirrored side starts. Kanavi going to have that same clear speed. Both these skirmishing junglers very quick through that first one. But the question is, will we get that kind of response to Kanavi not having flash within these first 5 minutes? It's not looking like we will.
Yeah, I don't think so, because Azir is pretty good into Sylas early on. You see that there's a lot of pressure over in the top lane from Jace, and bot lane just goes as we expected it. Neeko and Kai'Sa are going to be able to shove in the Xayah and Rakan. Xayah and Rakan are not particularly very lane dominant. They're just very good in skirmish scenarios due to the engage, disengage tools that they both possess. Well, Xayah more disengaged than Rakan does, but yeah. But you'll see that, again, we said Vi was going to back towards the bot side of the map. This is the side that you do have that priority. And I feel like if Kanavi managed to get his flash back, without necessarily forcing any skirmishes onto that Xin Zhao, It's a pretty good win for him. However, for champions like Zinzao, you do want to be sort of rumbling about, fist fighting in that early game, and the fact that he has no flash has taken that ability off him.
Crisp a little bit late to get out of that fight. Gonna try to dodge out and does get away from everything there. His Vault Breaker was used the other way for Wei. Void Seeker went a little bit wide. Turret Plate will go the way of BLG's bot lane. And Wei playing very nicely towards this side of the map. I'll say BLG needs to get away from the turret as the last minion is going to go away. They don't even get tagged. And really nicely done as Kanavi is now redeploying out to the bot side.
Yeah, he's looking towards the bot side. He has been unspotted so far. But here is where actually...
Oh, the CC chain, the flash. Wei is going to get that kill at first blood to BLG onto Creme.
Oh, well, if we're talking about late dominance and Knight getting ahead, then there you have it. Wei hits first on the map, takes the flash off of Creme as well, which is going to be huge. As a Vi, you get that level 6, you can capitalize on this 100%. You're going to have Knight also steal that Azir ult, so it's not like Creme is going to be able to get too far away, dashing onto his soldier, so that's a pretty great setup right here from Wei to be able to get Knight ahead in this matchup.
And now we're taking a look at the map state. Elk is moving out towards top side. We're going to take a look back at this one. Really well played from Knight to take this preemptive engage.
Ah, he greeted the flash.
Yeah.
And now he wishes he hadn't. Yeah.
And if you think about it, that's why I was begging the question of what this BLG team could offer us or what we want to see from this team, because they have had a rocky start to the start of this split here. And yes, they started off with 2-2-0s, especially over IG. That's huge. But then falling desperately to JDG, but also that heartbreaker series against AL. It is not the BLG that we used to know in 2024.
However, they are being pressured right now, and I feel like all good stories have some sort of peak and some sort of dip in the whole graph, if you will. It's like the proper LPL gold graph, but this is like the history and the development of the character, right? So right here, BLG, I feel like even as a viewer, it's much more exciting when you see a team try to get back to their old selves and figure out why things are not working for them in the meta. And right here, they do have a lot of dominance. I love that early game from Wei and Knight trying to get that Sylas ahead. We talked about how this is not going to be the easiest game for Sylas, playing into so much range, soldiers, Xayah and stuff like this. However, if that Sylas does get ahead, this is the redemption arc for that champion as we see the 1v1.
Ooh, Knight going for the 1v1 on a Creme. Double Emperor's Divides for both of them.
That was exciting.
About even on the health, but Knight has first move over to the Grubs. The Grubs have already spawned, and BLG, point and present, gonna start it up. TES right behind it, though. We could get a kerfuffle.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible for top esports to actually walk in here. I feel like Kanavi is maybe looking for a smite and then getting out. They have level advantage of the set of BLG and complete control.
Oh, they overextended there. Kanavi goes down immediately. Big blade collar there from JackeyLove, and they're going to get the one back. Really good peel ability right now, and Elk overextended himself, but Creme goes over the left side of the fight, goes down. Another Tangle Barb from On, as JackeyLove's going to hit a nice blade collar onto Wei, but On might have been the MVP of that first fight.
Wow, top esports so JackeyLove do so much damage, and they just got baited into over chase. 3-0 on the Vi, and you know, I'm not a big Vi fan, but if at 7 minutes you've got 3 kills and an extra item, this is definitely going to hurt. And let's watch this one more time. Top esports have absolutely no freaking business walking into this river. It doesn't belong to them. They have no setup. They have no vision. They get stuck onto the choke point, On with a fantastic E route onto 2 members. And here's when things start turning around. They see JackeyLove doing a lot of damage, but once Elk flashes, the entirety of top esports gets baited into the choke point again, and On capitalizes one more time with the Nico. A fantastic performance on the Nico from On so far.
Really, really good stuff. And this was a clutch pick in the latter half of the draft there themselves. We were wondering what this pick does, right? We were questioning it a little bit, but On showing out and showing up so far in this early game now. An almost 2,000 gold lead for BLG as Ben is in a 1v2, and he's dodging away from everything. Meanwhile, that will be the Dragon started up and taken by BLG, propelling their early game advantage even further forward.
Not handshaking those objectives hurts so much for top esports. You usually want to play away from what's the strongest part of the other team, and top esports are playing right into BLG's hands, swapping their bot lane top when that dragon is up. And now BLG are looking for a dive. No flash now on 369. There's Vi ult.
Yeah, nobody's really coming to help him. Crisp is running out of base, but he's going to be a while. You also have JackeyLove right there behind him. Got to try to buy time here. Buy as much time as you can. 369. Hold the line. Void Seeker is not going to hit, but he will still go down to On, who now goes 2-0-2 on the Nico. Maybe even looking for another turret plate here in the bot lane. And that'll be a triumphant gold advantage for BLG early on into this one.
This is reminiscent of 2024 BLG. Lane dominant, neutral objective dominant. Talking about dominance, Kanavi is looking to establish some in that bot lane.
Pop Blossom play going in for BLG. On has no more mana. Is just trying to step up. Realizes Kanavi has found their backside, and Elk's going to go down as well. Giving a couple quick kills to the man himself, JackeyLove.
Takes down his skin. He's the only one who should be using that apparently. 2-0 on the Xayah is really huge right here. One thing that I've always had a problem with top esports is that I have compared them to wild animals when it comes to neutral objectives. Top esports are the kind of team that believe in hands diff very heavily, and it feels like whether they have set up in neutral objectives or not, they are going to take their chances to 4v4 you, to 5v5 you, to try and establish some sort of vision or control over a neutral objective that never belonged to them in the first place. And it has been a lot of times to the detriment, right? Can you count here, Creme?
Oh, man, I don't even know. He gets half his health taken off early there. On was not at all in line with the minions, but it didn't even matter. Odd's having a little bit of fun with himself in this game number one, and that's got to feel good. A little bit of pressure towards top side as Kanavi has been spotted out moving here. Ben trying to dodge and weave his way away from 369, but the next spawn of grubs in about 45 seconds. Ben just goes in on the 369. That was bold. He knew that Kanavi was there, but it was all just a bait. Ben was buying time, but is it enough? Now, fish in a barrel. TES need a way out. Creme getting a big Emperor's Divide. Way gets pushed into the alcove. And top esports, they're looking for a front to back now. They're starting to get this one down. Creme has been untouched this whole time. And Knight's about to go down too. Knight got 2 kills. Knight dodges out of that last win, becomes lightning. And this is why we expected this to be the match of the week. The hands on these guys is insane.
You're talking about hands. They're just willing to throw hands. 3v3s and 4v4s all day. They're pulling TPs. Void grubs haven't even spawned. They just purely want to establish vision on the tops of the map, and they're willing to pull TPs and fight over vision control. And if you were not sure if this was going to be a banger of a series, well, I think game one is already delivering. However, Void grubs still on the line. Let's have a look at this. Being engaged because look in the river. There's 3 of his teammates already heading up, and he knows he can use the alcove to buy time for the rest of them to get up there. Crisp will find him with that taunt, and then the rest of the team comes in. Creme, Knight fall through the TPs, and then the rest is history. They're just back and forth fist fight. 2 of them end up escaping on each side. However, if you look on the picture and picture on the bottom left, that's going to be 6 Void grubs to the side of BLG.
I'm surprised the top esports weren't even able to contest over this as well with the map state that they had going through, and that first item going for Creme. But that is the way things have gone, and 6 grubs is going to be very hard to deal with. Creme is the focus now. Cease and desist coming in. Flash under the turret. There's Elk with that beautiful Void Seeker combo, but Creme still alive, still kicking. And now it's a deja vu, but it's the other way around. Top esports want to make the play. On completely misses his Pop Blossom, and Elk goes down because of it. On might just join his brother in the grave, but a big, big Feather Storm going to save JackeyLove from taking too much damage as they're going to push out this top lane. It was still grubs taking it. BLG move on to the rest of the map.
However, this is very scary. That is 1 kill traded for 4 members over on the top side of the map, whilst Bin gets access to towers for free with 6 Void grubs in his pocket. The Ambessa is already about 1,000 gold up, and it's only going to get worse. If you give free time with towers to BLG, we know what happens to your map. It usually goes pitch black, and top esports just commit way too hard on the tops of the map for not necessarily anything in return other than a kill. All right, I think we might have lost Mazel here. for a second.
Oh, yep, we did. We did indeed. I am back. I don't know what just happened, but I do think that it's
lost.
I think it's interesting because the fact of the matter is, like, BLG are fine with the state of the map. Top Esports are the one that are obviously having to push that tempo forward, and they have been trying to look it together as a team, and the lead isn't that far out in front of them, but this is a situation where BLG will just pick them apart in the side lanes and keep that kind of 1-3-1 setup.
Yeah, and it's going to become that much more difficult because you also have a Vi coming through Fog of War, which gets really scary. The pin down and the follow-up from BLG is what makes it that much scarier to be alone on the side lane. As you can see right now, Creme has to respect the fact that Wei is around. Kanavi's trying to sneak in the Dragon, and they are going to take that one most likely for free right here since Knight is trying to push that bot lane wave.
Oh, Chris getting caught a little bit, and BLG might be looking for him. Again, remember, when they find one target they want to engage on, it works out beautifully, and that target is Creme! Emperor's Divine from Knight himself, and now the TP from BLG. Give the golden left hand a triple kill to boot, and that lead starting to get to 2,000 here for BLG 15 minutes in.
But what is going on with Top Esports? You managed to sneak out the Dragon, and then you just throw it all by walking straight into BLG's open arms. A little bit of dizziness, and like, you cannot afford to get dizzy versus BLG. We know how that story ends. They're just too quick to chop your arm off.
They are indeed lethal as they are. And that Top Esports, that's been a couple decisions around these objectives that have been a bit dicey. Maybe feeling themselves a little bit too much, and now you look over on the other side, and a guy named Wei has 3 kills on a Vi. A guy named Knight, who everybody knows, has 5 kills on Silas, and this is just tough to watch for Top Esports.
I mean, it's just so weird. They're so split apart. Creme is just walking up river instead of walking through the tri-brush. Yeah, they're pulling the TP from BLG, but then it doesn't even matter because on the other side of the map, 369 doesn't end up getting anything for himself, and Top Esports is just, I feel like they're running around the map like headless chickens, not exactly knowing how they want to play this one. And we mentioned at the very beginning how Silas was going to be a problem if he gets fed, because it becomes really difficult playing into Tazaya. However, right now, you could say he's pretty fed. 5-1 and 3. Rotobait's already stacking, and Creme.
Okay, he can dodge away from one, but he might not be able to dodge the other. On trying to get the kill there. It does have to heal to get away from the turret. The turret is still ramped up, and Bid's going to take a lot of damage. He's going to end up having to flash away from that last hit, but that turret will also go down. Will be second turret gone, and that back comes out the last second there for On. Makes it out alive. Top Esports just searching for scraps out on the Rift now.
Yeah, and I wish I could draw your screen right now on how important these 2 towers that BLG have taken are for them. Right now, you're going to be playing the Dragon stacking game. You already got 6 Void Grubs. Now you're going to be stacking those Dragons, get that soul, force Top Esports to walk into you to fight you, especially since you have such a strong Silas to show off for. And if you look on the bot side of the map, the darkness inside Kanavi's jungle is going to be so difficult for Top Esports to overcome. As we see, Creme right here, he tries his best, but he gets caught by the edge of the Ambessa ult right there. And even though Chris was on his way, if you look over on the minimap, it just wasn't quite enough. He wasn't there on time. And I feel like this is going to be a preview of how every neutral objective is going to go from now on for BLG. You kind of need a Top Esports miracle fight, which has happened before, but I just can't see an angle where Top Esports actually walk inside their jungle and have enough vision to take those fights.
And I go back to what we talked about in draft and kind of coming out of draft is this is exactly the style I wanted to see from BLG. I wanted to see them have something that's worked for them before and just execute. Just be the better team. And right now, they are the better team. And that'll be BLG taking down 369 under turret and the turret on top of that. All outer turrets taken down. And a 5,000 gold lead now for BLG.
Do you know the meme with the little guy who's holding the little stick and he's poking something? He's like, come on, do something!
Yes, I do.
This is how I believe Top Esports fans are looking at this game. They're like, come on, do something! Top Esports
Don't worry,
we're
going
looking
to 3.
For Bin.
Don't worry, it's coming. Blue side is just so dominant, you know?
Oh yeah, this is surely a blue side incident.
Definitely is. Second item is going to be coming online for BLG. They're going to get a reset out from Elk to get his. Dragon is coming up in about 45 seconds.
Yeah, and second item completed for Silas, second item completed for Elk, onto this Kai'Sa. Black Cleaver, so importantly, completed for Wei, gonna amplify a lot of the damage that Elk and Bin and Wei himself does over to TES. And again, you just need a little bit more vision to play around the bot side, but look how choked out of their own jungle they are if you look towards the Dragon. I feel like top esports are gonna have to somehow isolate that Azir, try and get some vision, hover around him, try to get him to take towers, and with that in conjunction, a couple of CS, get him a little bit stronger, grab him a second item, and potentially once that Nashor's is completed, you could start looking towards a miraculous fight, because you ain't walking towards the bot side of your map. Just like
all
that.
the way out of 369. TP's going to be coming in. That's going to be Creme joining. Pop Blossom hits him as he comes through, but the lockdown isn't there. JackeyLove almost falls. Meanwhile, under turret on and Wei trying to get away. There's that big grand entrance from Chris going a little bit wide. Onto the minions they go, and they are able to take those out. BLG going for a hell of a dive. Don't end up finding it, but they will find the dragon for it anyways.
Absolutely. Xayah with no ult has no business walking inside any choke points or playing any team fights. So BLG got exactly what they wanted as Kanavi greens for his grub.
Oh, no. Dude, Knight is having a vintage performance to kick this one off. And I'm just saying, I know maybe I'm reading too deep into it, but I feel like it's a little personal against Creme, who's been definitely the big come up here in recent history of the mid laners in the LPL, and Knight trying to show him how it's done. Now getting in a 1v1 himself, has a flash away from Creme, even if he is so strong, but Creme's all by himself, surrounded by the Sharks that are in the BLG jerseys. And I gotta get me some of that merch. That's gonna be a big clip onto Chris, but not gonna follow it up is on. Dragon finally goes down to Wei, and BLG, they have completely owned this early game.
Yeah, I feel like this is OG top esports versus BLG. It's like I'm watching 2024 summer playoffs all over again. BLG is making top esports run circles.
Oh, JackeyLove is going to end up getting out with his flash. Still has Clint dies to Elk on his own skin. Kanavi will not let that one stand. We'll put him down too. Great interest from Chris, goes a little bit wide, and Kanavi just falls to the might that is BLG. Bin goes with a double kill. 369 just has to stand and watch.
That is a 7,000 gold lead 21 minutes in, and Knight. What an absolute king performance on that Silas. Of course, set up a Wei. We cannot take anything away from Wei's Vi, especially in that early game. He did set up the Silas for success. But other than that, Knight took everything for himself. And I'm like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I think top esports need to mentally reset and already start thinking about that game number 2, because like game number 1, it's been a little bit of a fumble.
It's cooked,
like,
man. It's cooked.
Was that Grump worth it? Was that Grump really worth it dying over?
Not at all. And I love it the most because this is Knight's Silas, which he's been historically pretty good at, into the Azir that Creme has held so near and dear this split. And it's just showing that even with comfort, you still got to be able to take down the king.
Yep, he does. However, I think he might have to delay that by 1 game. Because at this point, 6-1-4, Knight's so confident on the melee champion, he purchased Magi's as his 3rd item, which pretty much
classic Knight move.
In pro play, it declares one of 2 things. Either the game is completely over, and you build a Magi's in hopes that maybe you start stacking up some AP with a couple of picks, and maybe you can bring the game back. Or the game is completely over for the enemy team, and you're purchasing Magi's because you're that damn confident and that much ahead. Talking about ahead, we haven't even talked about the matchup that we chose at the beginning. Bin is like almost 3,000 gold up on this mess.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. Also, just a little adding, I'm going to add a 4th point to that as well. Knight just really likes books. He really likes books. That's just what it is.
Virtual wants to.
And Virtual. He has a Kindle. Okay, he knows how to read on a tablet, I guess. Anyways, it is still that setup where TES aren't giving up. They're trying to move onto the map. They are on second items for everyone, but as soon as they overextend, they're going to be pounced on. Kanavi just goes in by himself. Pop Blossom onto 2. On going to be stopped there. Public execution onto the back line now, though. They are wheeling and dealing. Big Emperor's divide from Creme as he goes in with the engage onto Elk, but Elk Killer Instincts onto the other side of the fight, and BLG have not lost a member. That's going to be 5 quick kills to BLG. An absolute map dominance from this team.
BLG slapping Top Esports in the face with their coin. 20 stacks of Medjais, and Baron hasn't even spawned. Baron hasn't even spawned, and that's a pure ace. Top Esports, back to the drawing board. Whiteboard, blackboard, whatever you prefer, back to that board. That
just
early
go
game,
to the board, damn it. Just
go to a board and start writing down how the heck you can go back to previous form. Let's say how it is.
It's not even a bad comp. That's the sad part about it. Like, it's not even that. It's been decision making.
Absolutely. Again, I think we go back to what I said about the Top Esports are wild animals when it comes to neutral objectives. They will fight them. They will play spectator mode, and then they will fight them when it's too late and they have no setup. And they have lost a bunch of games because of this. And if not games, they have lost a bunch of fights because of this, which have inherently made their games that much harder to close out. However, versus BLG, versus AL, versus the really good teams of the LPL, you cannot afford to give those fights away and then pray that you're going to have a top esports team fight, a miraculous team fight to bring this back. Because teams like BLG are not going to allow you to do this. This is vintage, I don't know if I can call it vintage 2024 BLG, it was only last year. Okay, OG BLG. There you go.
There you go. There you go. We're getting there. We're getting there towards the vintage. But it is still this map setup from BLG now. Almost 10,000 gold in the advantage against the Top Esports, who doesn't know when to quit. And is continuously trying to get this mid pressure with that sun disc utilized on that outer turret. Yeah, Kanavi, you get that clone. You get him. You got him real good.
He's gonna get something, man. He's gonna get something. He has to get something.
Ain't gonna get Knight, okay? That's for sure.
Oh boy.
Get that clone, Kanavi. Get him.
It becomes so much more difficult right now. There is a bunch of poke coming through from Kai'Sa as well. And BLG are obviously looking towards that Baron. It is going to be the thing that will help them end this game. However, BLG, again, very much on the patient side. They know they're stronger right here. They're 10,000 gold in the lead. And who's in the bush? Who's in the bush? No one, actually. Been pulled out.
On just flashed away, by the way. He's a little scared. Public execute goes what? Oh. BLG are missing everything right now, but maybe it doesn't even matter. Point click goes in. Look at Knight. What? The flank. The 3-man Pop Blossom, and I'm popping all over Top Esports as BLG. They're wiping the floor with them. Knight finds a beautiful abscond abduct, and 369 gets caught by the tangled barbs. That'll be everything going the way of BLG. And the On is the one that pushes back to try to go get this base finished off. It is 10,000 gold plus at BLG's kingdom here in game number 1.
That was such a great display of how far ahead BLG is. Doesn't matter. Miss every ult there is. Lose your vibe before she's even pressed one spell in the entire fight. Who damn cares? You're 10,000 gold up. You're like about an item and a half up. BLG are just so far ahead that they just keep baiting Top Esports to try and get a sliver of vision. And it's just quite impossible to win those skirmishes at this point. I mean, let's have one more look here. Bin will miss ult. You'll see that JackeyLove tries to pre-ult, Waze ult here, but he will find it anyway onto Creme. Vi dissipates instantly, but what another fantastic ult coming through from On. He's found such incredible angles, not necessarily to get those big wombo combos that you see from Nico, but to split apart the fights. That is a pretty consistent front-to-back composition from Top Esports, and On has been consistently spreading them very thin on these fights.
It's the setup from On, and then I'm just watching Knight move on these guys. Like, his movements in these fights, these abscond abducts are lethal. He's dodging out so many abilities, and now going to be untouchable with his Zanya's completed with a Rift Maker. with 25 stacks in his book. And the man's got his library card ready to go. BLG going to start up this Baron, try to push the tempo onto Top Esports.
Yeah, they're trying to find a way in. Kanavi found Knight, or did Knight find Kanavi? He's 4 levels up!
Oh, he's got everything, though. Crisp going to have to back away. Tries to go for the saving play, but Elk finds the back line, and so does Bin! But JackeyLove, and you're playing color ain't going to do diddly squat! As BLG wipe again the entire team of Top Esports, and Knight will make Creme pay. That'll be straight down the mid lane, straight down the bot lane, and BLG look to finish house on game number 1.
Yeah, there's a wave down that bot lane. BLG easy as it started, not with success, but with a one successful gank for Knight in that mid lane. And ever since that gank from Wei, BLG never let go.
Never once, it seems. That was one of the most one-sided victories we've seen in recent history. 29 minutes in, BLG make good on that rivalry we built up between these two teams. And I had a vibe that they were feeling themselves after watching Bin just dominate that 1v1, and apparently it is true, as Top Esports cannot catch a break in that first game.
If you're a Top Esports fan, you're getting deja vu of 2024, and it doesn't feel good, man. That was very dominant. I feel like in laning phase, BLG shut down Top Esports. And again, you have to go back to the drawing board. The Xayah, the Rakan, they didn't work. They were there to play as a defensive tool, but you lost so much priority through the balls of the map. Imagine if Vi had 0 lanes to play through. It would have been an absolute disaster. But Top Esports let go of one lane, and they just lost the map through that mid lane gank. It just felt like they just didn't have any answers in how to walk inside those neutral objectives. Again, one extra amplifying dome, one extra longsword. BLG completely shut them down.
And Knight answered the question that we begged at the beginning of the day on who's going to come out the better mid laner as well, and definitely had his resources given to him and did splendor with it. I mean, the fact that they were able to get Creme early, but then he had so many different fights that he just made massive impacts on the Silas into Creme's Azir that he's been really leaning on to. I think Top Esports going to have to go back to that board you were talking about and figure out what kind of strategy they want to come forward with, because this is a series I expect to go to 3. I think Top Esports from blue side is very dominant, so we'll see what they want to go with at least.
Yeah, I feel like the one thing that's concerning for Top Esports is that obviously jokingly you'd have Top Esports being super dominant all over the map, and then JackeyLove would have like 1 or 2 of his JackeyLove moments, and you're like, oh man, it's fine. Like someone else will carry, like Creme or 369 will be ahead, or Kanavi, they'll get it done. However, right here, I feel like it has been a pattern where between the last series and this game 1 of this series, I feel like JackeyLove has been consistently the one to try and drag Top Esports across the finish line. This time around, it just wasn't enough. I feel like Top Esports lanes really need to wake up. I'm starting with Kanavi. I've been his biggest supporter. I've talked him up so much. I said that in 2024, he was my best jungler in the world, almost. But this time around, he has been very poor. His pathing's not been on point. He hasn't been able to track enemy jungle, and these early game pathings have really harmed Top Esports.
And I look back to that week last week when the Top Esports had to play 4 series, 4 best of 3s in one single week in 7 days, and they went 3-1. And a lot of those series were off the back of King Kanavi himself having massive performances. And then you look to this week and you see this setup against WE, even the wins against TT, some of those matchups very, very difficult in their own right. And I just wonder what kind of consistency we can get out of this guy who has been so legendary in the history of the LPL. And especially against Wei, who on this Vi made him look like mincemeat.
Yeah, I feel like he's been having just a couple of tough games, and I just want to take us back to 2024 when Wei got back into BLG and he was sharing time at the beginning with Shun, and the BLG made the choice to keep Shun for this particular roster. I feel like in this meta, Wei's playstyle really does fit BLG in terms of he can be a little bit more of a facilitator, plus play those Vi games for his team, but also BLG are fantastic at building compositions around more aggro junglers like the Vi. I mean, they were playing with Shun, one of the best Vi's in the LPL last year, right? And I feel like BLG has sort of this magic where they will always draft for one of their members and then play around them, whether it's on screen or on draft. This particular draft was built around the Vi. It was built for Wei. Wei got them that first kill, and then it snowballed from there.
Yeah, and being able to lean on these solo laners so heavily, I think Knight and Bin definitely picking up the slack that has been there, at least for BLG. I think Elk had some incredible moments on the killer instincts into these fights to kind of follow through on that dive potential this team was drafted for. And those are the kinds of moments you're like, okay, this is the BLG that looks like they can contest Top Esports for that 1 and 2 spot in Group Ascend. And Top Esports looked like they didn't even show up to this game number 1, honestly.
Yeah, and I feel like this is one of the most important games. If you look at the scores at the bottom of your screens right now, 3 and 2 for BLG and 5 and 1 for Top Esports. If BLG wins here, that's a 4 and 2 into a 5 and 2. Top Esports want to solidify themselves in that number 1 or number 2 spot, right? So losing right here, one of your most important matchups, knowing AL are in the equation, IG are in the equation, that miraculously sometimes wake up and they take everything in front of them, right? You just cannot afford to lose the tough matchups, especially when you are the one favorite in the books.
Exactly that. Now that we're getting close to the tail end of the highlights here, who do you think gets MVP for this one? Do you think it is Wei for those preemptive status, or is it Knight? Or is it on? I think it has to
be on. I think it has to be on. I'm going to be very clear.
Way.
Again,
no
I don't think it's about necessarily the wombo combos, but the way on found consistent flanks to split apart a team that wants to play front to back. He kept consistently finding incredible ease, multi-man ease. That choke point fight that we saw earlier on around the void grubs as well. I feel like he really did solidify those fights for his team.
I gotta give it to
Justice
Knight.
for
That's gonna
support.
be my vote. Nah, not this time. Not this time. I did like the Nico. I did like the Nico for sure. I just think Knight's Silas is built different, man. The way he moves around the fights. I mean, I always really lauded Rookie's Silas. I think Rookie Silas is incredible, but watching Knight on Silas is always an absolute treat. And the fact that that game ended at 29 minutes, we had like a kill a minute for the longest time in that game. It was absolute chaos early, and you could definitely feel it was Top Esports just saying, this is our win con. We're just going to keep fighting until either we bleed to death or we take the win. And they didn't give up. I'll give them that one. They didn't stop in that combination. They kept fighting.
Is that a good thing? Is that a good
Maybe,
thing or a bad
at least they're
thing?
together. At least they're together. And honestly, that's sometimes all you can ask for.
Hey,
all right.
Let's lose the game on the first void grubs, but at least we'll do it all together.
The Kanavi step up there, it will be legendary. Absolutely legendary. Knight,
okay.
look at him.
Flashy plays win. What can I say? Okay, fair.
11,
I mean,
1 and
he
9.
deserves it, man. They gave him 1 kill. He took over the game.
Speak your truth,
Major
Trouble.
props.
You know you don't believe that.
No, I mean, they were all so good. I mean, you look over in the top lane, we didn't even talk about Bin, and he was 3,000 gold over 369. We hadn't even seen him on screen, so props to all of them, honestly.
Well, we'll see if Top Esports can bounce back after that one. A tough series start indeed, but BLG look ever so clean. We'll be back after a short break for game number 2.